To compare the job of being an NED in the public and the private sector, I think you have to start out by reminding yourself what is the job of an NED, what's the job of a board. And I always believe the board has three tasks. Task number one is to make sure that there is a strategy that makes sense for the organisation in place. Task number two is to make sure that the strategy that you've agreed as an organisation, topped by the board, is being implemented effectively. And step number three, or role number three, is to make sure that the organisation complies with whatever laws and regulations are necessary. That to me is the succinct way of describing what a board does. And I'd say 80% of what happens in the public and the private sector is the same. You have to go through the same mechanisms. The biggest difference, and it is a big difference, is that in the public sector, process is much more important than outcomes. And in the private sector, outcomes are much more important than process. And this can lead to clashes on boards, for example, where somebody is absolutely concerned about having placed the advert properly in the right places, having enough time to interview the candidates, do the other pieces, etc., and thus losing the opportunity to get the blindingly obvious candidate. There's then a frustration between those who just want to get the obvious candidate and those who insist on going through the process. So I would say the big difference between the two is one is process focused and one is outcome focused.